订阅微博，飞鸽文学，英语从此无需再学。纪念刘和珍君。一、中华民国15年3月25日，就是国立北京女子师范大学为18日在段祺瑞执政府前遇害的刘和珍、杨德群两军开追悼会的那一天，我独在礼堂外徘徊，遇见成军前来问我道
In memory of Liu Hejin. 1. On March 25th, the 15th year of the Republic of China, it was the day when the National Beijing Women's Normal University held a memorial service for Liu Hejin and Yang Dechuan, who were killed on the 18th in front of Duan Kirwis administration. I was wandering alone outside the auditorium when I met Cheng Jun.
先生可曾为刘和珍写了一点什么没有？我说没有。他就正告诉我，先生还是写一点吧。刘和珍生前就很爱看先生的文章，这是我知道的。凡我所编辑的期刊，大概是因为往往有始无终之故吧。萧行二一向就甚为寥落，然而在这样的生活艰难中
Who came to ask me, Sir, have you ever written anything for Liu Hejin? I said no. She warned me, Sir, just write a little bit. Liu Hejin loved reading her husband's articles during her lifetime. This is what I know. The sales of the journals I edit have always been very low, probably because they often have a beginning but no end. However, in such a difficult life, she was the one who
毅然预定了莽原全年的就有他。我也早觉得有写一点东西的必要了，这虽然与死者毫不相干，但在生者却大抵只能如此而已。倘使我能够相信真有所谓在天之灵，那自然可以得到更大的安慰，但是现在却只能如此而已。可是我实在无话可说，我只觉得所住的并非人间。
Resolutely booked The Wilderness for the whole year. I have long felt the need to write something. Although this has nothing to do with the dead, for the living it is mostly just like this. If I could believe that there really is a so-called spirit in heaven, then I would naturally get greater comfort, but now that's all I can do. But I really have nothing to say. I just feel that what I live in is not the human world.
40多个青年的血洋溢在我的周围，使我监于呼吸室听，那里还能有什么言语？长歌当哭是必须在痛定之后的，而此后几个所谓学者文人的阴险的论调，有使我觉得悲哀。我已经出离愤怒了，我将身为这非人间的浓黑的悲凉。
The blood of more than 40 young people was all around me, making it difficult for me to breathe, see, hear, and see. What words could there be there? Changing songs and crying must be done after the pain has settled. The insidious arguments of several so-called scholars and literati since then make me feel particularly sad. I'm beyond angry. I will deeply appreciate this deep, dark sadness that is not human.
以我的最大哀痛显示于非人间，使他们快意于我的苦痛，就将这作为后死者的斐波三的祭品，奉献于逝者的灵前。2. 真的猛士，敢于直面惨淡的人生，敢于正视淋漓的鲜血，这是怎样的哀痛者和幸福者？然而造化又常常为庸人设计，以时间的流逝来洗涤旧界。
Showing my greatest sorrow in the non-human world, making them happy with my pain, I will offer this as a meager sacrifice to the deceased in front of the soul of the deceased. 2. A true warrior dares to face the bleak life and the dripping blood. What kind of mourners and happy ones are these? However, nature is often designed for mediocre people, using the flow of time to wash away the old.
仅使留下淡红的血色和微漠的悲哀。在这淡红的血色和微漠的悲哀中，又给人暂的偷生，维持着这似人非人的世界。我不知道这样的世界何时是一个尽头。我们还在这样的世上活着，我也早觉得有写一点东西的必要了。离3月18日也已有2星期，忘却的救主快要降临了吧。
Traces leaving only the pale red blood and a slight sadness. In this light red blood color and slight sadness, people can temporarily survive and maintain this world that seems to be human but not human. I don't know when this world will end. We are still living in such a world. I have long felt the need to write something. It's been 2 weeks since March 18th and the savior of forgetfulness is about to.
我正有写一点东西的必要了。3. 在40余被害的青年之中，刘和珍君是我的学生。学生云者，我向来这样想，这样说，现在却觉得有些踌躇了。我应该对他奉献我的悲哀与尊敬。他不是苟活到现在的我的学生，是为了中国而死的中国的青年。
Arrive, so I feel the need to write something. 3. Among the more than 40 young people who were murdered, Mr. Luhajin was my student. As the student said, I have always thought and said this, but now I feel a little hesitant. I should dedicate my sorrow and respect to her. She is not a student of me who has survived until now, but a Chinese youth who died for China.
他的姓名第一次为我所见，是在去年夏初，杨荫宇女士做女子师范大学校长，开除校中6个学生自治会职员的时候，其中的一个就是他，但是我不认识。直到后来，也许已经是刘百昭率领男女武将强拖出校之后了。
The first time her name came to my attention was when Ms. Yang Inu became the president of the Women's Normal University at the beginning of last summer and expelled 6 staff members of the Student Government Association in the school. One of them was her, but I don't know it. It was not until later, perhaps after Liu Biao led the male and female military generals and forcibly dragged.
才有人指着一个学生告诉我，说这就是刘和珍。其实我才能将姓名和实体联合起来，心中却暗自诧异。我平素想，能够不为势力所趋，反抗一广有羽翼的校长的学生，无论如何，总该是有些桀骜似锋利的。
Him out of the school that someone pointed at a student and told me, "This is Liu Hejin." At that time I was able to combine the name with the entity, but I was secretly surprised. I always thought that a student who could not succumb to snobbishness and resist a powerful principle should always be somewhat unruly and sharp, but
但他却常常微笑着，态度很温和。待到偏安于宗茂胡同令武屋授课之后，他才驶来听我的讲义，于是见面的回数就较多了，也还是始终微笑着，态度很温和。待到学校恢复旧观，往日的教职员以为责任已尽。
she always smiled and had a very gentle attitude. After I settled down in Zhongmao Hutong and rented 5 rooms to teach, she began to come to listen to my lectures, so we met more often, and she still always smiled and had a very gentle attitude. When the school returned to its old outlook and the former teachers and staff thought they had fulfilled their
准备陆续隐退的时候，我才见他虑及母校前途，黯然置于气下。此后似乎就不相见。总之，在我的记忆上，那一次就是永别了。4. 我在18日早晨才知道 上午有群众向执政府请愿的事儿，下午便得到噩耗。
Responsibilities and were preparing to retire one after another. I saw her thinking about the future of her alma mater, and she burst into tears. It seems they haven't seen each other since then. In short, in my memory, that time is forever. For on the morning of the 18th, I learned that there was a petition from the masses to the ruling government in the morning. In the afternoon, I received bad.
说卫队居然开枪，死伤之数百人，而刘和真军即在遇害者之列。但我对于这些传说，竟至于颇为怀疑。我向来是不但溜以最坏的恶意来推测中国人的，然而我还不料，也不信竟会下烈凶残到这地步。况且始终微笑着的和蔼的刘和真军。
News that the guards actually opened fire, killing and injuring hundreds of people, and Liu Hezonjun was among the victims. But I am quite skeptical about these legends. I have never been afraid to project the worst possible ill will on the Chinese people, but I did not expect or believe that they could be so vicious and cruel. Besides the kind-hearted Mr. Liu Hezon, who is always smiling.
更何至于无端在府门前喋血呢？然而即日证明是事实了，作证的便是他自己的尸骸，还有一句是杨的群军的，而且又证明着这不但是杀害，简直是虐杀，因为身体上还有棍棒的伤痕。但段政府就有令，说他们是暴徒。
Why would he shed blood in front of the house for no reason? However, it was proved to be true today, and the witness was her own corpse. There is another body which belongs to Mr. Yang Dechuan. And it also proved that this was not only killing, but also brutal killing, because there were scars from sticks on the body. But the Duan government issued an order calling them thugs.
但接着就有流言，说他们是受人利用的，惨象已使我目不忍视了。流言有使我耳不忍闻，我还有什么话可说呢？我懂得衰亡民族之所以默无声息的缘由了。沉默呵，沉默呵，不在沉默中爆发，就在沉默中灭亡。但是
But then there were rumors that they were being taken advantage of. The tragic scene has made me unable to bear to look at it. Rumors are especially annoying to me. What else can I say? I understand the reason why declining nations remain silent. Silence, silence. If you don't break out in silence, you will perish in silence. 5, but I still.
我还有要说的话，我没有亲见。听说他刘和真军那时是欣然前往的，自然情愿而已，稍有人心者，谁也不会料到有这样的罗网，但竟在执政府前中弹了，从背部入，斜穿心肺，已是致命的创伤。
Have something to say? I haven't seen it personally. I heard that Liu Hezonjun went there happily. Of course it is just a petition. No one with a little bit of support would have expected such a trap. But he was shot in front of the government. It entered from the back and penetrated his heart and lungs diagonally. It was a fatal.
只是没有便死，同去的张敬书军想扶起他，中了4弹，其一是手枪，力扑。同去的杨的群军又想去扶起他，也被击，弹从左肩入，穿胸偏右出。
Wound, but he died immediately. Zhang Jingshijin, who went with her, tried to help her up, but was hit by 4 bullets, one of which was a pistol, causing her to stand upright. Yang Dekunjin, who went with her, tried to help her up again, but was also hit. The bullet entered from the left shoulder, penetrated the chest, and came out to the...
也力扑，但他还能坐起来， 一个兵在他头部及胸部猛击2棍，于是死掉了。始终微笑的和蔼的刘和珍君却是死掉了，这是真的，有他自己的尸骸为证。沉勇而有爱的杨的群君也死掉了，有他自己的尸骸为证。只有一样沉勇而有爱的张敬书君还在医院里呻吟。
Right, and she fell down. But she could still sit up, but a soldier hit her twice on the head and chest with a stick and she died. The kind-hearted Liu Hejin, who always smiled, was indeed dead. This is true as evidenced by her own corpse. The brave and friendly young Dichuan also died as evidenced by her own body. Only Zhang Jingshijin, who is equally brave and friendly, is still groaning in the hospital.
当3个女子从容地转碾于文明人所发明的枪弹的传射器中的时候，这是怎样的一个惊心动魄的伟大和中国军人的屠戮8妇婴的伟绩，八国联军的惩创学生的武功，不幸全被这几缕血痕抹杀了。
What a thrilling moment when 3 women calmly passed through the bullets invented by civilized people. The great achievements of the Chinese soldiers in massacring 8 women and infants, and the martial arts of the 8-nation allied forces in punishing and injuring students were all unfortunately obliterated by these traces of blood.
但是钟爱的杀人者却居然昂起头来，不知道各个脸上有着血污。6. 时间永是流逝，街市依旧太平。有限的几个生命在中国是不算什么的，至多不过供无恶意的闲人以饭后的谈资，或者给有恶意的闲人做流言的种子。至于此外的深的意义，
But the murderers at home and abroad actually raised their heads unaware that all of them had blood stains on their faces. 6 time is always passing by the streets are still peaceful and the limited lives are nothing in China. At most they are just for idlers without malicious intent to talk about after dinner, or as seeds of rumors for idlers with malicious intent. As for other profound meanings, I always...
我总觉得很寥寥久，因为这实在不过是徒手的请愿。人类的血战前行的历史，正如煤的形成，当时用大量的木材，结果却只是一小块，但请愿是不在其中的，更何况是徒手。然而，既然有了血痕了，
Feel that they're very few because this is really just a petition with bare hands. The history of mankind's bloody battles is like the formation of coal. At that time a large amount of wood was used, but the result was only a small piece, but petitions are not among them, let alone with bare hands. However, since there are bloodstains,
当然不觉要扩大，至少也当尽自了亲族、师友、爱人的心，纵使时光流逝，洗成绯红，也会在微末的悲哀中永存微笑的和蔼的旧影。陶谦说过，亲戚或于悲，他人亦以歌，此去何所道？
Of course they will expand. At least it should be impregnated with relatives. Even if the hearts of teachers, friends, and lovers are washed into crimson by the passage of time, the old shadow of a kind smile will always remain in the slight sadness. Tao Qian once said, relatives or remnants of grief others have also sung their songs, so what is the way to die? The body is.
脱体同山阿，时倘能如此，这也就够了。7. 我已经说过，我向来是不但以最坏的恶意来推测中国人的，但这回却很有几点出于我的意外。一是当局者竟会这样的凶残，一是流言家竟至如此之下劣。
Supported by the same mountain. 10 If this can be done, this is enough. 7. I have already said, I have never been afraid to speculate on the Chinese people with the worst possible malice. But this time there were a few things that surprised me. First, the authorities can be so cruel. Second, the gossips can be so bad. And third,
一是中国的女性临难竟能如是之从容。我目睹中国女子的办事是始于去年的，虽然是少数，但看那干练坚决、百折不回的气概，曾经屡次为之感叹。至于这一回在弹雨中互相救助，虽允身不恤时宜的事实，则更足为中国女子的勇毅。
Chinese women can be so calm in the face of difficulties. I have witnessed Chinese women doing things since last year. Although they are in the minority, I have been amazed many times by their capable, determined, and indomitable spirit. As for the fact that they rescued each other in the rain of bullets this time, even though they were killed 11, it is more than enough proof that the courage of
虽遭阴谋秘计压抑至数千年，而终于没有消亡的明证了。倘要寻求这一次死伤者对于将来的意义，意义就在此吧。苟活者在淡红的血色中，会依稀看见微茫的希望。真的猛士将更愤然而前行。呜呼，我说不出话，但以此纪念刘和珍君。
Chinese women has been suppressed for thousands of years by conspiracies and secrets and finally has not died out. If you want to seek the meaning of the casualties this time for the future, the meaning lies here. The survivors will vaguely see a faint hope in the light red blood. A true warrior will move forward with more courage. Wow, I am speechless, but this is how I remember Liu Hejin.